being a dad or being a parent in general definitely helps to do that. You learn to multitask in a way that you've never had to multitask before.
Yeah. Well, I just find your expansion capabilities are greater. When you're a bachelor and single, and you're looking after yourself, you're so busy, so tired. And my last company was looking after 3,500 sales agents over 10 years, and the amount of 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are by themselves or living at home with their parents, and I'm so tired, I'm so busy. Like, bro, you have no idea.
I love that. I love it, man. Yeah, I look back at the attitude I had when I was a chef, when I was late teens, early 20s as a chef, and that is a lot of hours. But when you leave the restaurant, you're done. There's no other responsibility. It's only when you're there for the day, and then there's no clock off these days. But also, that's exactly the way we've chosen for it to be. So right. We'll do a little intro here. Welcome back, everybody, to the Coaches to the Moon podcast. Second today, I believe we're on episode number 23, and I'm really, really excited to have Mr. Julian Waal joining me today. He is just a real anomaly of a businessman because he is across so many different things. He's a fantastic coach. He's a consultant. He's in sales. He's in solar power. We're going to talk about all that today. Julian, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to have a chat.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Awesome, man. Like I just said, you're a busy boy. You're living in Adelaide right now. You flew in from Brisbane last night. You're kind of flying back and forth once a week. Is that for your mop company? Is that for your solar company? Is that for your consulting? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So
Monday mornings, what's my week look like? So Monday mornings, till around about 12, I'm consulting with another solar company, actually. And then I basically fly out Monday afternoon, fly to Brisbane, work on our new mop company and cleaning company, and then my own solar company in between that as well. Fly back Thursday and then spend the weekend with the family and try and catch up in all my work or, meetings like this on the Friday and everything else. So, and then it's a weekend and then spend some time with the family and then it's back to Monday again. So that's what it's been like for the last month. So it's been good.
Awesome. I really appreciate you making the time for this kind of thing. And I do want to talk about, how you manage to manage all those different businesses and things going on at the same time. I first want to ask you this, though, because this was interesting to me because I'm a bit of a history buff. And you run the Spartan Business Academy, which is a consulting and coaching group. I can see you have a Spartan helmet behind you there.
Yeah.
And say you're a Spartan in your past life. What is the significance of Spartan and why is that? How is that shaping the way you run your business?
Yeah. So where I came up with the name Spartan, obviously that movie 300 was pretty 300 in Gladiator. Yeah. Just speaks to me. Just either I was that in a past life or I just feel really connected, I don't think I should ever go to war because my self-preservation is actually very, very low. I got a very high risk to low self-preservation, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, there's just a connection that I don't know what, you just feel a connection personally to it, whether that's for any reason at all. I think just the mentality of that 300 and Sparta and essentially that scene in the movie where they said, oh, what do you do? When the other army joins them, oh, I'm a potter, I'm a baker or whatever else he was. And what do you guys do? And it's like that Spartan chant. It's like, yeah, exactly. So that resonates with me. Essentially, what do you do? If you're in business, you're a business owner and that's all you do, which is kind of funny now that I'm running a couple of different types of businesses, but essentially businesses run the same. So my idea of that is, number one, you go out to battle and you either come back from battle or you come back on your shield. That's I think that's the way I like to see life, and it's a very, very sort of aggressive approach. Whenever I'm doing consulting and sales coaching, it's a very aggressive focus on success, and it's success is binary. You've either got results or you've got excuses, and that's the way I see things. You can either make up excuses and the reasons why you didn't do something, or you've actually achieved exactly what you wanted to do, and there's nothing in between. So having that really strong focus on the professionalism and also being a student of that industry or student of business or, I think we're professional athletes of business, and I've thought about that for a long time. So it means that your diet, your mentality, your education is all designed for success, but you need to really master the skills, the basic fundamentals of finances, and now social media and PR and marketing and sales and advertising and recruitment and all those aspects of a different sort of pillars of business. And that makes you a complete business owner. And I think a lot of business owners that are really missing the mark are purely focused on one area, or it's their passion. Perfect example, they love food, so they set up a restaurant. That is a great way to go bankrupt.
Man, I know that you had a restaurant at one point, right?
We did, yeah. That was 15 years ago.
I was in hospitality. I was a chef for a long time. I owned a cafe at one point. And man, even knowing the business, like with two chefs running at the place, and we knew how to do the front of house, we knew how to do the back of house, even running a small cafe, you run into so many pitfalls you didn't expect. And for someone to go in who's never worked in a restaurant before, goodness me, that sounds like the worst idea ever, but so many people do it. Why do you think being a business owner is so attractive to people? And like, why do you think it's becoming so sexy these days against just kind of going and getting a job?
Yeah, great question. I think that whole entrepreneurship is very much a fad. And I've said that for probably 7 years now, 6 years now. What do you do? And I met these people, seminars and different groups, and Mike Brewis does this show, Aaron Sansoni, so all those people do seminars, and you meet these people. What do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. And I met this person, young guy, full of life. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, oh, that's great. I don't really call myself an entrepreneur, even though we've done lots of things, because, to me, an entrepreneur would be the Elon Musks and the Richard Bransons. That to me is an entrepreneur, like mega people. We're just business owners that run a few businesses and make some cash. Like that's literally what we do. And at the end of the day, on your ABN, it doesn't say entrepreneur, it says sole trader, no matter how big your business or company is, right? So it's still exactly the same. So he was, and I'm not out here to crush people's dreams and hopes. That's not what I'm here to do. But it's just a realization of where you're actually sitting in the marketplace or in your own personal journey. And I think people get caught up too much with founders and CEOs and, mate, call me a janitor. I don't really care. It doesn't make any difference to my bank balance what you call me, right? So this young kid, probably is doing an entrepreneurship degree at university. He doesn't have a business. He doesn't even have an ABN. He's just got an idea. And I was like, that's not an entrepreneur. That's like an unemployed student with an idea. There's plenty of people out there, there'd be trillions of dollars of great ideas in the grave because no one acted upon it. So yeah, you just got to rein it back. Your friends shouldn't care what title you give yourself, and they'll know pretty quickly if they're serious, if you're serious about what you're doing and where you're going. So actions speak louder than words, right?
Yeah, I think that's a very smart answer. I think some of the most entrepreneurial people I know actually now have jobs. But back in high school, they were the ones who were, breaking down bags of fun bags of chips and then selling smaller bags of chips, or they were doing the car washes or building skate ramps and renting them out, that sort of thing.
I love that. That's awesome. Awesome. That's a mindset. So back to probably, it is definitely a fad word. It's a bit sexy to be an entrepreneur because, you run your own business, you've got your Apple laptop and you're at a cafe and you're working through things. But look, at the end of the day, sometimes overall, in regard to the journey that I've been on and plenty of other people, most times, remember that the strike rate of becoming successful in businesses, most don't, right? So 80% of businesses fail in the first 2 years, and only 2% of businesses overall make it to 2 mil. That's not good odds. So most people would actually be better working within a business and actually having their super paid, all that stuff. You'll end up making more money, but it's not as sexy because you're not your own boss and you don't get to choose your own hours. And you need to be a very different human being, hardwired to be great as a business owner and to really create the success that you think that you deserve.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of trials and tribulations to go through, and they never really end. I'm sure. Like, although you'd say you're older than me, you look as young as the day is new, but I'm sure that you've been through some shit, and you say you've had a lot of failures, right?
Yeah,
You've been
definitely.
a lot of failures, and that's really interesting because you've just given us the success rate of businesses, and it's minuscule, and you've had so many different ventures. You had your fingers in so many pies, from hospitality to retail to consulting to solar power, and a lot of beginner coaches and entrepreneurs out there, in quotation marks, will try a new model or a new business because the grass is always greener on the other side, that shiny object syndrome, right? So my question to you is, how do you decide when something is worth pursuing as a business?
Yeah. Look, like you said, I've tried a lot of things. Those successful companies that you mentioned, there's probably a dozen that are in the graveyard that just didn't work at the time, and you needed more resources, or you're trying to take on Goliath and you have minuscule budgets, or your skill level at the time is not high enough, or funding you need to do, but you don't know how to do that. So there's so many reasons why a lot of my companies didn't work out. Yeah. But then again, they're learning opportunities. I've been involved with a CRM beta test. I've been involved with mortgage broking, generated mortgage broking leads, Spartan financial integration, recruitment company. We set up our own Seek style platform, which I still think is a great idea. But anyway, we can go back to that. We tried to set up a Seek style, and every business that we spoke to hated Seek, so we thought this is killer. But then you realize what you need to create that, and you need probably a couple of mil to get going. And at that stage, I had no idea how to do that, and then you just got to allow the universe and destiny to kind of guide you. You can't give up. So I think life is a bit like water, a lot like water. If you just let water, so when you try and control water, usually what happens is it'll just go through your fingers. So you can't control life too much. You need to be in control, but not control. Same with people and managing people, right? But you can't also let it go all over the table because there's no guidance. So to get around things in the table and move around obstacles, you need to guide it and push it one way and move around this way. And you've got to be fluid. We're dealing with a dynamic world, especially in the last 18 months, So that's the way I think about life. But you still need to be moving forward. I don't like the word pushing or hustle, because I think sometimes when you're pushing too hard, the universe doesn't allow things. It's counterintuitive to let go, but still be in control. And that's where the balance of life, universe, work ethics, skill, knowledge, experience, all that comes into play. But it takes 21 years to become 21. I'm now 38, been in business for 20 odd years. Things are very, very different. We've set up the solar company in the middle of the lockdown. So it's only a year old, but we're now working with Harley Davidson. We work with Automasters down here in South Australia. We've got the national agreement for Bridgestone Select. We just installed the RSL bowling club. So a lot of big names are working with us and love to work with us, but we've positioned ourselves in the marketplace as the market leader. But now you need to back up what that brand tells people to do.
Yes, that's a big point, isn't it? That's a whole nother podcast, is backing up what you say you can do. Far out. I did a podcast this morning with a guy who is a real just one-to-one coach, and he's done really well out of just delivering an hour at a time to people on the phone. I was like, how are you scaling your business and making so much more and more money every month while still delivering? And he's like, because I deliver, because I get people results. They never leave. They come in expecting one thing and they get exactly that one thing. So my income just keeps growing and recurring without me having to go and hustle for new clients all the time. Because I position myself a certain way, and now people actually get what they're expecting. So that's really, really, really cool to hear, man. What was the Spartan phrase? It was come back with your shield or on it. That was the Spartan phrase. I mean, you win or you die trying. With
leave it all on. You don't want to come back from the battlefield with heaps of energy. Like, leave it on the battlefield.
So how do you know you failed in a business then? Because I know, sorry if that's a tough question, but how do you know if you failed?
See, I Well, it depends how much money you lose. That's one.
Sure.
I don't think you can really fail. Even I've nearly been bankrupt 3 times. We've been in court proceedings from changing clients and changing suppliers and creating our own supply chain. So that, that was a huge 3 months of my life where I basically fell asleep. Once we got the okay from the judge and we could still run business, I basically fell asleep for 2 days. So I was just shattered.
Wow.
But when you go, and then 2019, I closed down Spartan Elite, which was our sales company. A lot of my identity was connected to that. I had that company and one very similar to that for 12 years all up. We grew that organization. I started when there was 5 people, and there was basically, for us 5, we grew 15 companies, 360 staff and contractors, and we were the largest fundraising agency in Australia. So that was 10 years of my life, a little bit longer. So when we closed that one down in 2019, I just had enough and wanted to move into something else. That was hard. 2019 was a really, really hard year. That was probably one of the worst years of my life. So much so that 2020 and 2021, with COVID going on and lockdowns and everything else that's going on, has been a piece of cake compared to 2019. So you can imagine how bad that was if the last 2 years has been a breeze.
Yeah, that sounds tough. And yeah, I as soon as I said that question, I felt bad about the way I'd worded it. But say, when have you failed? Because no one ever, you never fail, right? You just learn.
I think it's a story that you tell yourself. Some people would consider closing a business down a failure. I just thought it was I should have closed the business down 4 years prior.
Right.
That's the only thing that I should have done. I should have been not as loyal to the group that I was involved with and left with a ton of cash 4 years earlier. That's my only lesson out of that. Loyalty was very expensive, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of skills that come out of it. Running a door-to-door sales company for 10 years, training 3,500 sales agents, building, 7-8-figure sales programs for some of the largest clients, charity clients in the country, is great experience. So then I can use all of that data, all that resources, and all those skills, and now we can actually move into a consultancy space. So if there's a company out there that has 5 to 20 plus salespeople, mate, I'll turn that company around and increase profits in the first week. Perfect example. I've worked with another solar company just recently. We increased GP by 5% in basically 2 weeks within the first month.
Amazing.
So it's just, I think it's just about stacking about all your learning, and then over time you put all those experience together, and then you just slowly work out where you want to be. Looking into new markets, I think renewable energy right now, hot market. Everyone wants to be involved with it. Everyone wants to align their brand with it. It's going to be killer for the next 5 to 10 years. Really, it's going to be.
You heard it first here from Julian van der Waal. Go and buy solar, buy Tesla, buy composters. I reckon composting is the way to go, man. I'm composting out the front there. It's great until you have to bury it, and then you got to dig up a stinky hole. But it's okay. It's worth it. It's long term.
Worth it.
Let's talk about how you grow these companies, because you just mentioned your Spartan Elite, the sales agency, and that was you were doing fundraising for people. So door knocking, cold calling. A lot of coaches these days are making their sales over the phone. And, still a scary thing to do sometimes, talking to, a relative stranger and asking for money. You've trained people to do that, knocking on someone's door, infinitely more scary. But is there a takeaway that you could give today's coaches that you've learned from door knocking that they could take to the phone?
Yeah, there's quite a few, actually. Number one would probably be the resilience that you need to have in business. And that's across any business, right? You need to be resilient. The other thing is knowing your numbers. So sales is a very scary game if you don't know what you're doing. And that's not just from a skill set point of view. And you need to be skilled in sales, like technically skilled. Yeah. And business owners out there, everyone that's listening to this, the number one thing that you need to learn how to do very, very quickly is sell your own product. Number one. Because if, can we swear on this? If not really? Yeah. Because if shit hits a fan, you can always go B2B, B2C, however you want to do, and sell your product and make money very, very quickly. You need to learn how to do that. Because if you can't do that, And like I said, shit hits the fan and you need to build. I've rebuilt my own companies half a dozen times. So I know exactly how to build it from zero back to $1 million within 14 weeks. I've done it too many times to count. So you need to know how that process works, and you need to be confident. The reason why that's so important is because it takes away the fear of loss that you have with your sales staff or your marketing campaigns. Because if that doesn't work, you're in the shit, and that is not a good feeling. But if you know that off the back, off the skin of your own back, you can go out there, drive some new business through your business. Nothing's an issue. So resilience is one thing, and knowing your numbers. How many people do you need to see? And then working out what your process is. And most companies, so 2018, 2019, in my consultancy space, all my clients were all sales companies. Every single one of them were outsourced sales companies.
Wow, because people can't sell their own product.
Well, they taught people like me to sell their own product, and they still had a coach like me training their guys. So wow. if they're an outsourced sales company and their only business is to sell other people's products, and they need a coach, and we had some incredible results through them, then what do you think other businesses need to do when they don't have that sales experience, when they haven't trained a few thousand sales reps, and they don't know the sales processes? They really need some help.
Man, it's like all the business and money coaches out there without a business or any money, right?
Crazy, right? Crazy. Don't even get me started on that one. That is me. That is one of my pet hates,
Okay. Well, I don't want to get you angry today, Julian. I want to keep you happy. You're in a good mood. It's Friday afternoon.
I'll put my helmet on in a minute.
Let's talk about this instead. Selling your own products. I've sold a lot of products as well. Okay. So I started after my cafe. I was really good at selling wine, food, coffee, that kind of thing. Then when I went into like the health coaching space, long story short, I got really unhealthy in hospitality, got myself really healthy, and decided I can teach people how to do this in my own way. And so I did everything from the high ticket coaching programs to recipe books and, a bit of a network marketing, supplements, that sort of thing. And I had a product that was a $15 a month recipe subscription service, calorie counter recipes to your diet. And I found it so difficult to sell a $15 a month product, whereas I can sell a $9,000 marketing service in about half an hour. But I got 4 clients ever on my recipe subscription. Why do you think I struggled more to sell a $15 product than a $10,000 product?
Yeah, so I found the same issue to me. I think it's the worth that you put on yourself. So to me, to go and sell lottery tickets at $1 a ticket I'm not even going to look at that. Especially when you go and sell a solar system at 40, 50, 60 grand, 150 grand, and then you go back to $1 or $15. It's just not the game. But you got to start somewhere, high ticket item, lots of volume, low ticket item, lots of high volume, or you have a high ticket item, low volume, or you have one like MOPS right now. It's a medium ticket and there's great volume. Yeah. So you just gotta find where you're comfortable with, and as you go through your sort of sales career and sales experience, you just slowly build up. I never thought I could sell $120,000 solar system from a Zoom call or from a first 2 meetings and an email.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, how far can I push that margin and still give great value to the customer? Because that's the other thing too, right? I can sell something at $9,000 and make $1,000, or I can add so much value to it. I can sell it for 15 grand. The consumer's happy. That's the next stage of being able to sell. And that's what makes you a great salesperson as opposed to a good salesperson.
Yeah. Okay. So the value I attribute to what I'm giving them makes it easier, and they can probably sense that in my voice as well. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Otherwise, what happens, and this happens a lot in solar, everyone's dropping their pants just to get the deal, race to the bottom. No one makes any margins, and the industry's thinking that the price is around here when really I'm selling it pretty much double what the market rate is, only because I can create enough value around where the consumer still feels like they're getting an awesome deal. And that's super important, because otherwise you create enough value or you use certain sales techniques that's unethical, and you're basically ripping people off because there's actually no value behind it. And I don't think that's not what I'm talking about.
100%. Well, man, I guess one of the biggest things I'm getting from you is just like straight up authenticity. And I don't think you would have ever, blurred the lines to make a sale.
No, I don't need to, and that's where, if you're good at sales and you understand what you need to do, you just see one more person. Like, just go knock on another door, go do another business, make another phone call, set up another Zoom call, write another ad on Facebook, whatever your marketing campaign is, just do one more. I call it the law of one more. Just do one more. Close one more door, set up another opportunity, make one more phone call, and that's it. Just replace that one person that you didn't quite get with someone else, and you're away.
Yeah, absolutely. I got into trouble with that one once because that always ask one more time vibe. Yeah. I just tested that out on the phone once, and I'd already lost a sale. And I just kept asking one more.
The Hail Mary down the back end, right?
Yeah. Didn't work. It didn't work. Yeah. But, I'm starting to learn in my sort of B2B kind of style of business. If someone needs to be followed up too many times or asked too many times, they weren't right in the first place. I find my best clients are the ones where I can send a proposal on a Thursday, and on Tuesday I'll get a text message saying all signed, because I gave them some space.
Yeah.
When back in the health coaching days, I would work really hard for a sale, use all the techniques, get them over the line. 3 days later, they have a freak out, and then they want to pull out of it because I've actually done too much selling and they didn't want to do it enough. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, look, that happens all the time. I call it, what do I call it? Basically, it's elegant sales. If you have an elegant sales process, it doesn't feel like saying. So you change it from a selling point of view to a purchasing opportunity.
Right.
So we teach a certain structure where once you go through that structure and you've ascertained all the client's needs, goals, concerns, fears, what they're looking for, what they want over the next 3 to 5 years, why wouldn't they buy it? All this, I ask a ton of questions. Like, I probably in my solar business, I probably spend about 30 minutes before I get to anything about solar, just making sure I can create the perfect opportunity and perfect solution for the customer. Whereas some sales guys, they'll get a quote and they'll do it up and they'll send it out and wait for them to call. That's not selling. That is called order taking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting that to see you break it up into those different camps there, man. I think a lot of people could learn a lot from you. I'll ask you at the end of this if there's anywhere we can go to get some advice off you. I'd love to hear it.
100%.
But you've been here for a while. I think we've got some epic value off this podcast. I like to keep them short and sweet, although I definitely could talk to you for a long time. But I want to finish it on a really lovely note because I've got 2 daughters, and I think you have twice as many daughters as that. Yeah. I think you've got 4 daughters. You're surrounded by women. We're both very lucky boys.
Very.
I heard some celebrity, it was like Jason Momoa or someone, say that every man wants a son, but every man needs a daughter. What do you think of that?
Yeah, look, I used to be a very hard type of person. I think my daughters have softened me up a bit, although I don't tell that to everyone. But obviously, when you're saying this in a public forum, more people are going to know than not. Look, I come from a very European hard background where, my old pa was in the war and captured by the Germans, and, we come from Holland. So that type of resilience maybe was passed down generationally, but it's definitely a very hard upbringing, high discipline. I remember vividly my grandpa saying, kids should be seen and not heard. That's where we come from. So bringing that type of experiences and education or whatever around growing up as a kid, you tend to pass that down pretty quickly. It's just how we operate, right? Yeah. So I'm grateful that if I had a boy, if I had boys, I think I'd be very as hard as my dad would be on me, because that kind of shaped and formed me into the man that I am today. But I'm probably lucky that I have girls because it's probably not the right way of doing it in 2021.
Awesome. Yeah, why not? I think it's an absolute blast, man. I'm super stoked to have a couple of little girls in the house. I can only imagine how many tiny dresses and frozen dolls you got around your house with 4 of them. Dude, I bought Wiggles tickets today for the first time.
You know the crazy thing is, I actually don't like kids. I'm not really a kid fan. You know, some people really enjoy kids, and when they're running around and screaming, we've got friends of ours that just can really thrive in that environment. I can't, man. Let me run 3 companies. That is so much easier for me.
It's heavy.
It's just a lot of work, you know, and it takes it from. So I think one kid is hard. So the people out there that have one child, it's really difficult. If you don't have kids, don't compare it to your dog because it's not the same. So just be quiet. When you have one child, it is super hard. Like, it is difficult. Then you have 2, and it's okay. One's easy, right? Then you have 3 and 4, and 1 is a piece of cake. But it's the same as that bachelor that's tired and busy compared to having 3 company or a consulting business, 2 companies, and 4 kids. It's just you go from a residential point of view to a commercial business, and then now we're industrial scale right now. So you
expand, right? Your capabilities expand, your capacity for work and energy and mental focus to be able to get home from a tough day and still have to be switched on to raise a child or whatever, even if it's coming home from a job to then run a business. Anything that expands that capacity, I think you seem way more chilled out than you'd expect you to be. And I think it's because of what you just said, that you've gone in stages, 1 company, 1 kid, blah, 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 now 3 companies, 4 kids, and probably a bunch of other ideas in the bank.
I'm not chilled out. I'm just bloody tired. That's all.
Who isn't, man? Who isn't? It's Friday afternoon. Put your feet up. You just had a coffee, so I guess you're not going to put your feet up. But we're only a few hours away.
No, you do expand your comfort zones, and being in business, definitely. I think being in business and being resilient helps you in your marriage and helps you in your personal life, and then also the benefit of having business is that I went to the gym this morning. Obviously, got podcasted now. We do some work this afternoon. What time is it now? 2:00. So I might be able to pick up the kids this afternoon, but I've got work. But then the balance of having that flexibility is sometimes at 10 o'clock at night, you're still working. Sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up in hot sweats because you're really stressed. So there is that balance, and you just have to understand that certain times of your life are going to be pretty painful, and then you're going to be blessed on the other side. But you can't have the blessings without the pain. That's just, I've never found a business that sets up super simple, super easy, and it's just flows. I've not had that yet. Maybe soon, but not yet.
There's a lot of people on Instagram who'd have you believe the opposite, right?
It's just not true. It's just not true. You just can't do it. You just can't.
1 year, 1 laptop, and everyone's got a 7-figure Shopify store, and they're on a private jet using their laptop in the pool for some reason. No one does that shit.
It does happen. It does happen, but it's not the majority, and most people are going to fail. That's what you got to realize. So it's like becoming a millionaire and in the top couple of percentage points of the country and in the world, right? We're a pretty lucky country, pretty blessed country globally. So if you're going to try and reach the upper echelons of business and life and finances, you got to work harder than everyone else ahead of you. It's just how it works. If you want to be an athlete and an Olympian, you got 4 years and you're not even guaranteed to make it. Something could happen in trials and you roll your ankle and that's it. You're out of the 100-meter sprint. So but you just got to try. I don't want to be on my deathbed and go, fuck, I wish I'd have just done a bit more. I wish I'd had just experienced a little bit more. I don't want that.
Yeah, 100%, man. What a fantastic place to leave it, because you're definitely having a go. You're definitely not going to leave anything on the table, I can tell. And I'm going to order myself an Octo mop for Christmas because I'm a dad now and I get excited by mops.
It will be the best mop you ever buy. It'll be the last mop you ever buy, I promise.
It'll be the first mop I ever buy. I promise that. You realize, you got the kids and it's like, oh, I don't have anything to mop that with, or I don't have an iron. Why would I ever need it, right? So, dude, Julian, please let us know if there's anything you like to plug or anywhere we can find you, any programs you've got coming up.
Yeah, so jump on the website. We're getting a new julianvanderwald.com website. If you need solar, escgroup.energy, and if you need cleaning products, octomop.com.au. But JVD at julianvanderwald.com, you'll get me, and I'm more than happy to reach out and give us some support or give some insights or look me up on my socials.
Oh, you're an absolute legend, Julian. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, bro. I really, really appreciate your time. Anyone listening on Spotify, thank you for doing that. And anyone live streaming right now, we'll get back to the comments later on. We'll be back next week on the Coaches to the Moon podcast.